Man, my black card may get revoked for this video, but man, let's talk about this real quick.
Get out of the car. What? Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
So, if you read the caption of that, okay, first of all, I already know this video could get age restricted, but it's whatever. I don't care. I had thoughts about this and I wanted to talk about it, all right? So, if you actually read the description of that video, the caption or whatever, and actually dive a little bit deeper into what actually happened, and not just not just react based off of your emotions, which is very easy to do and which the media absolutely wants to happen. If I actually dive into it, do a little bit of thinking, critical thinking, you'll actually read that that Dodge Charger was stolen and it was involved in previous criminal activity. And if you don't know, okay, that is relevant and that is important. Okay, that is important to why the officer opened the door the way that he did and told the guy to get out of the car. It's important. The car is stolen, which is illegal, and it was involved it was previously involved in some illegal activity. All right, all of that is relevant. I know it don't seem that way, and I know, to the people who's not knowledgeable about it, it may not even matter, but it does matter, okay? And then here's my thing. Here's where the black card might get revoked part, okay? When it comes to something like that, in a situation like that, if you know that you're not guilty, why the hell are you trying to drive away? Why was he trying to drive away? You know what that's called? That's called resisting. Now, I'm not 100% sure if every police department's protocol is different when it comes to that, but every police department has protocol for when someone is about to try to drive away or resist, pretty much. But the main question is, you know that you're not guilty, why are you trying to drive away? Why, if a cop pulled me over, I know I'm not guilty of anything. What the hell? I have no reason to drive away. I have no, don't get me wrong though, don't get me wrong. I still, you always gonna be a little bit fearful of your life. The color of your skin matters. Okay, of course. But I know I'm not guilty of anything. I have no reason to resist. And if you watch the video, okay, let's watch it again. If you watch the video, when he opened the door and he said, get out the car, why did he try to drive away? You only do that. You only try to drive away like that when you feel like you're guilty of something. And obviously he was, because the car was stolen and previously involved in criminal activity. And here's another thing, and I have to give a disclaimer. Okay, I went to a criminal justice school. I had a lot of police officer teachers and NYPD teachers, and I had a lot of former NYPD officers as teachers. Okay, and I would ask them very pressing questions about certain things. I wish I was still in school to ask to gauge how they would have handled the same situation too. I wish, but I gotta go based off of memory right now. When the officer opens your door like that, okay, and tells you get out of the car, if you start fumbling with your hands right then and there, and I know this is another thing that could be different protocol based off of the department, but you start fumbling with your hands for any reason at all, that officer is now fearful for whatever could happen. The driver of that car is not dead, but hasn't been killed by this, but the officer got fired, but whatever. But that officer sees you start fumbling with your hands. He don't know if you could be reaching for something. He don't know what is going on in that moment. And I always will remember one of my teachers mentioning that to me, because in that split 2 to 3 seconds, that could be the officer's life. And you always got to remember that those officers are there to protect and serve. It's supposed to be there to protect and serve, all right? So if a situation like that happens, where the car that he's approaching has been involved in whatever criminal activity a few days before, that officer is already gonna be on guard. Then he tells you get out of the car and you're about to start driving away, you fumbling with your hands. He don't know what's going on. Now, I know for certain there's definitely protocol for when someone is like fleeing the scene in a car. There's definitely protocol. I don't know if that's protocol what he did with shooting, you know, but either way. And here's another thing that's very important and very relevant, and I think people are lost on this fact too. Police officers are human too. There's just people with a job, and a very important job at that, but they're human too. So in a life or death type of situation, or a very dire situation, rational and logical thoughts aren't always present. Logical and rational thoughts aren't always there in these type of highly, very stressful situations. This is another thing I'll never forget. It was one of my police officer teachers who had showed a video of, I guess it was a news reporter. It's probably one of those defund the police news reporters and shit. Stupid, but it was probably one of those news reporters, right? It was like a training course as to like what an officer could go through on a very stressful scene. So it's like you come from here, you go around the corner, and you look up. Two people, one person has a gun, one person doesn't. In those split seconds to where those split seconds of where you identifying who has the gun, that person with the gun could, you know, do what they got to do and end your life. That's why officers react certain ways when it comes to these type of situations. And I know it's unfortunate to hear, because, and this is another thing, oh my God, this is another thing I gotta bring up. More knowledge from those police officer teachers. There's all statistics out there of, hypothetically, how much times officers respond to calls, you know, going on the scene. There's numbers on, gee, like who came up with that word, yo? There's numbers on like how much times officers respond and come onto the scene. There's numbers on how much times officer guns were fired, and there's numbers on like how much times of those times the gun was fired, you know, how much times the victim passed away because of it. And I will tell you this, the number of times officers use their gun is so minimal that it's such a minute thing. But what I've come to realize about the media, and they do a good job at it, I can't deny it. What I've realized about the media is that those few times that the officer actually used their gun and, you know, unfortunately kill someone, if it's unfortunate, those are the times those are the instances where it makes the news. So people could have this very distorted perception of police officers, because like, oh my God, all they do is kill people, all they do is shoot people, when it's really not that at all. A few of my officer teachers said they never even used their gun, and they've been on patrol for I think it was like 5 years. I think it's mandatory for the NYPD. I'm not sure. It's been like 3-4 years since I graduated college, but there's a few years where you have to do patrol. A majority of those times it's probably just domestic cases, you know, going to people's houses, you know, these two mother and fathers arguing and fighting and shit like that. A gun is never used throughout their whole NYPD career, and I'm pretty sure that's in most police departments. But the few times that a gun is actually used to shoot someone and kill someone, those are the times that makes the media, that makes the news. I'm telling you, the media, they do a very good job at this. I'm not gonna lie about that, but it's very minor. It's actually a very small amount of time that those very drastic situations happen, all right? Now, there was this one comment. I should have screenshotted that shit right away, because I think that person deleted that shit. This person was like, cops don't need guns, in all capital letters, right? And once again, that's a very clear emotional response to this video right here. which is understandable. Like I said, the media, that's what they're supposed to do. Okay, clicks, headlines, emotions, people clicking, you know, reactions and shit like that. It's necessary. I understand. But for you to say cops don't need guns, like, yo, I mean, come on. I don't want to go full on Blue Lives Matter type shit, but that's just ridiculous, right? Ain't it? Ain't that just ludicrous? That's kind of crazy. I'm not even gonna lie about that. I understand there's a lot of cases of officers using guns unjustifiably, but think about all of the other times when they do need it. I think people forget about those times, which is understandable, like I said, because those times don't make the news. But you got to think about those times where they responded to a call. This girl is fearful for her life because some deranged man is following her, some shit like that. The officer used that gun right then and there. You know what's crazy about that? I can't even reference that happening in the media. Isn't that crazy? They never showed a police officer using their gun justifiably. But think about all those times where that does happen. I'm telling you, like, here's my thing. I don't want to be all full Blue Lives Matter, but in this case right here, man, the officer tells you to get out the car. What's the issue with getting out of your car if you know you're not guilty of anything? And if that car wasn't used for criminal activity like prior, that officer would be completely wrong for what he did. Let me know what y'all think about this though, man. I know. I hope my black card is not revoked for this, but it's whatever, man. There's people who gotta have some type of rational thought and dive a little bit deeper into these things and not just be completely emotionally, you know, respond so emotionally about these things, you know? Let me know what y'all think. If you made it to the end, I really appreciate it, man. Road to 10K. Thank you. More videos coming soon, man. Ah!